All right, welcome everyone. This is Chris Petri. We're having a fun time here. We're going to be doing some oil painting this morning. We're working from a photograph. In the video, you will see that we're working from this photograph. You'll see this on screen the whole time as we work on this oil painting. Essentially, we're going to create a beautiful warm sunrise painting in Venice, Italy. So we have that beautiful atmospheric colors and tone and feeling of that wonderful sunrise. We have the water, we have the buildings in the distance, we have a boat and some pilings, some sun shimmering on the water. We have that distant city line here going across. We have this really strong tower feature here that's in the distance here in the city of Venice. So you're going to have fun creating this painting in oils. We'll describe to you every detail you need to basically learn to get this done. It's really not that difficult. We're going to cover the colors. We have our palette. We're going to show you how to mix all your colors. We have all of our colors right here on this palette. We're going to show you how to create those colors, get them out onto the palette, mix them, get them onto the painting here. And again, this is oils, something a little different on my channel. And I always mention to everybody, I am creating a new channel for oils that is going to be probably within the next few months or so. I'm going to have it up and running so that we won't kind of mix these into our watercolor videos here. So on this channel, we're going to stick with our format. We're not changing anything. It's going to be 99% watercolors. And then we will start a new channel for our oil painting so that it kind of just separates it. And this way there's no confusion on what we're doing each week as we go. So I want to just make that clear. And so again, we're just going to try a few oil paintings out here on this channel, on my normal channel here, just so you can kind of see what we're going to be doing on our new channel where we're going to be painting oils. If you're the artist, you're going to decide if you want to sort of start working a little bit in oils, try a new different medium, see how it works, learn some new techniques and methods, mixing colors, working on a new medium of oil. So you kind of will decide whether you want to make that transition and have a little fun in a new medium while you're working on your watercolors, or you never know, you might just transition over to oil painting. That's up to you. But again, I'm sticking with watercolors. That's my main medium, but I am going to start working in oils too as well. So again, that oil painting channel on YouTube will be coming out soon. So I'll let everyone know as we go when it's going to get started and when we'll start doing those new videos over there. Okay, so I'm hoping you'll be patient by just me putting on some oil paintings here once in a while on our watercolor channel. And again, I hope you will try out some oil painting again, just for the fun of it and trying out something new. And I think you'll learn a lot and have a good time with painting in oils. These are really safe. Again, there's nothing toxic about them at all. There's no flammable liquids you have to use. It's water mixable oils. You mix it the same way you would watercolor paint. You just add water and you paint. And we'll show you again on this video how you're going to do everything, okay? All right, let's get started. All right, Chris Petri here. Thanks so much for coming by. Hey, we're doing some beautiful watercolors here. You just saw the finished painting. And we're just going to show you how we're going to get to this wonderful looking oil painting by just doing some really simple steps and methods and techniques as we go in oil painting here. I just want to mention too, if you're not interested in oil colors, I totally understand. My channel is 100% here watercolors. So you're still going to see 7 days a week, 30 days a month, and 365 days a year, you're going to still see all the same content you've been seeing on watercolor on this channel. The only thing is I am starting a new channel. Within the next few months, I'll have a new channel set up for oil painting. So any of you that are interested in oil painting, you'll be heading over there. And in the next month or two or so, I'll be putting the links in the description box below so you can head on over there and check out my new channel where I'm going to be doing oil paintings predominantly. Or actually, I'll be doing nothing but oil paintings over on that other channel. But here we're doing nothing but watercolors, but I am starting a few oil paintings here, so I hope you don't mind. We're just starting out a few oil paintings here, and the reason why I am doing that is I realize some of you might want to learn oil paintings too as well. You might have been painting watercolors for a long time now, and you want to try out oils. could be a really good thing for you to try out a new medium and kind of work both mediums at the same time, watercolor and oils. But you're the artist. You'll have to decide that. You maybe have to tinker around with it and toy around with that idea and try it out a little bit. But I'm telling you, it could be really beneficial to help you with your watercolors, or maybe all the work that you've done in your watercolors for many years, or for the last few years or so, maybe that's going to transition into some new excitement where you're going to try out oils and decide that, wow, maybe I'm going to work in oils a little more and try out that and kind of see how I can develop that type of style of medium, because they're both great mediums. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy both of them tremendously. Obviously, I am a watercolor painter, but I have been working on oils for the last few years, doing mostly studying on it, but I have been painting too here and there a little bit, trying it out as I go the last couple years. So I am interested and I'm going to be doing some teaching videos on oil paintings too as well. So you'll see that new channel coming up soon. And so this way I won't be really putting much oil paintings on this channel. This is really dedicated all to watercolors, this channel. But again, I wanted to just put a few of the oil painting videos on this channel. And I'm just mentioning this because I know some of you might want to try it out and actually, work both mediums at the same time. Or you might be deciding you need a change and you want to go over to oils and start working in that mostly. But that's up to you. Totally up to you. I'm not, trying to switch anybody over to any different kind of a thing. That's totally up to you. You're the artist. You have to find out what you enjoy and what you like most. That's what's fun about being an artist. You're going to do what you like to do, what you enjoy, and you try out different things. And sometimes, some of you might decide you're not going to paint anymore. You're going to go into sculpture or pastels or maybe totally something different. I don't know what that is, but everyone is not maybe made for watercolor or oil, maybe, or sculpture. Everyone has to find their own niche. Find your own niche. Be happy at it. But I definitely want everyone to stick with watercolors because we've been here doing watercolors for a long time. So let's keep doing that. But if you do want to try out some oils, please feel free. We'll have my channel set up soon. You can come over there and check it out. But I will do a few more videos on this channel here, and then it's going to be switching over to my new channel. Okay, so we have everything all set up here for this video. We're going to do this beautiful Venice scene in Venice, Italy. It's a beautiful sunrise scene. My printer that I printed these photographs out that I found online on Google. I did a Google search for Venice, and I found some interesting photographs and paintings and all that. And I printed out some pictures, and you can kind of see how these look a little cool. I wanted these to be a little warmer in color. And when I printed it on my printer, they came out a little bit bluer and a little cooler. So I will add some more golds like yellow and yellow ochre into the sky and into the water and into the buildings a little bit to make it a little warmer and like that sunrise feel when it's warm and the sun is coming up in the morning time. All right, so we've talked about it, what the painting is, where it is, the colors. Again, we're going to have cadmium yellow, cadmium red, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, yellow ochre, titanium white, and just a little bit of phthalo green, which is a really almost like a viridian green, kind of a cool green. Lots of blue in that green. So, and that's very intense, so we don't want to use too much of it. We'll just use a tiny bit of it here and there. But these are the primary colors here we're going to use for this painting, and they're all artisan water mixable watercolors and oil painting colors. So these are oil paints, but they're water mixable, which means you're going to be rinsing your brush with water. You can add water to these paints to thin it down, to make thinner washes when you're creating your painting. And there's no fumes, there's no dangerous chemicals, dangerous fumes, there's no flammable liquids or anything like that you would need to use with these paints. They're totally workable with water. So that means if you spill it on your carpet or on your clothes or anything on your furniture, it washes up with soap and water. So there's no problem. This is like the same as watercolor, pretty much. So you don't have to worry about any of that dangerous stuff that a lot of people associate with oils. So I just want to get that out of the way, that this is really, technology has come a long way, and Winsor Newton is a great company. They are like one of the leaders in oil paints and watercolor paints and art. The Winsor Newton brand and the name is incredible, and I'm just mentioning it. I don't get paid for saying that, but I use all my 90% of my watercolor paints are Winsor & Newton. And now when I've gone over to the oil paints, I've noticed that Winsor & Newton has really the best, to me, the best water mixable oil paints that you can get. And all these paints are in the description box below. So you could find all my art supplies for oil painting right below in the description box below. So I didn't want to like leave everybody like guessing on what I'm using. All of my art supplies that I personally use are down below, and you just have to click on the different links, and it's all linked through Amazon. So you just go onto Amazon, and everything is right there, and you can order it, and it'll be delivered within a couple days or so. Depends on what the products are, but Amazon is a great service. I do all of my purchasing of my art supplies on Amazon. Why not? It's a great service. I use it for everything, actually, not just art supplies. I use it for all of my shopping. I don't have to go anywhere, waste any gas, spend any money on gas and going places and wasting time. I order it online, and it shows up at my home in my studio, and I'm good to go. All right, so we've got all this information now, our colors, what we're going to do here with our beautiful Venice scene in Italy, a sunrise. We're going to add a little bit of warmer colors to make it a little warmer again. My printer printed this out a little cooler looking. I can't do anything about that now. No sense in crying over spilled milk. I'm just going to keep going here. But you'll see. We're going to squeeze these out onto this waxed paper, which is palette paper by Strathmore. And you'll see that I have that in the description box below too. Again, all my art supplies for oils are below. And so all these things that we're using now, you'll see them below. Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break. We'll get started with getting our paint squeezed out on our paper here, our wax paper, and we'll start mixing and getting some washes and things on our palette here. This is actually our hardboard. So this is, again, this is oil painting board, which is like a hard press board. And then I primed it, and I'll talk about that next. So I'll talk about how I primed this board, and I actually did a video just last week, so you can look up that video too. We'll talk about that next, but let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into how we're going to tackle this painting, and we'll talk a little bit more about the board, priming your boards. If you're going to purchase a few boards to start working in oils, you'll need to prime them first. We'll show you how to do that. And we'll talk about the video I just created, and you'll look at that video, and then we'll start our painting. Okay, we'll do a quick drawing over this here with some charcoals. So we have some General's charcoal. I use General's charcoal to do my sketches first on top of my boards or my canvas, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we'll just do a quick sketch, and we'll get some paints on here, and we'll create a beautiful painting. So let's get started in just about 5-10 minutes. I'm going to make a cup of coffee, by the way. Okay, all right, see you soon. All right, so we're getting started here. I'm just going to have a little, I'm having my coffee here. I made some delicious coffee. Thank you, Kate. Kate sent me some great coffee just recently. Also some art supplies and some paints and some papers. So lots of good stuff. Much appreciated. So we have our charcoal, which we said we're going to use that to do our drawing. And what I thought I would do is also, I like to use a T-square. So this is like a simple T-square you can get online. I bought this on Amazon. And what I did is I'm going to put it here on the edge of the board to the right. It's kind of the edge of my board's off camera a little bit, but it's just right on the edge. And then I just slide this down or up, and I can get my horizon line where that distant shoreline is. So if I want to get my distant shoreline, and we said we want to keep it looking like this. We don't want to have it we don't want the water to be too thin like this. See how the water is really thin like this? So we want to have this format right here, but we want to have a little more water in the picture. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to raise up the water level, or the horizon line where the water level is. So let's do that. So if we do it if this is halfway and we go down about halfway between half and the bottom, that's about 1/4 of the way up. So if you can imagine, you can measure this. We could even do that too and just say, well, what's our board measure here? So we'll take out a tape measure and we'll say, well, I'll spin it this way and say the board measures approximately 9 inches high, like that, 9 inches high. So if we say 9, well then we could, we could even make it simple for ourselves and just say, well, let's move our tape measure up a little bit and call it 8 inches. So 8 inches would be 2, 4, 6, 8. So that would be quarters. So if we start out here, 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches. Okay, so our ruler is actually right where we need it to be. That just happened, by chance, but that's how we want to have it, right like that. And I'll just put a line across there with my General's charcoal, like that. So now you see we have a beautiful horizon line where our water is going to be along the shoreline of this in Venice here. And then what we'll do is, since we have that, let's just get some general lay of the land here. It's kind of a little bit thinner down here, like this. And then it goes up like this. It kind of gets a little bit like that. We'll use this, though. This is more like the relationship we want to have, like this. So we would say if this is halfway, we're going to go halfway, 3/4. We'll go between half and 3/4, like that. And then we'll just have our tower here, like that. If it's leaning a little bit, that's not a big deal. Okay, so we have our tower there. And then we have our rotunda here on the side. I'm just making some indications of where these features are going to be. So the main features are the rotunda, the tower, and then there's a few more buildings in the distance over here. Some gorgeous buildings that are features that we'll have, like that. And then there's a few more over here, like this. And then so if you can imagine, we have everything completed now that we need to have on our canvas here, this primed canvas. And I mentioned that if you just type in priming your oil canvas by Chris Petri, you'll find that video, which I just did. I created that a week ago, so you'll find it easily. Chris Petri, how to prime a canvas. And you'll see that I've primed 2 canvases, and one of them is this hardboard, and then the other one was a softer canvas, the ones that are framed out with wood. So we're going to use this hardboard here with the prime on here, the prime paint on here, which is ultramarine blue and burnt umber, which we have right here. So we use these 2 colors to prime this canvas before we started, and we let it dry for like 2-3 days. And we made this one a little bit cooler. We added a little more blue to it, but I think it's still a warm. I would say this is still warm. So we have a warm canvas here, a warm primer on here, which is mostly burnt umber, but we do have some coolness in there too. We balance it out with some cool color, the French ultramarine blue. Okay, and we have our sketch now on here with some of the charcoal we do just to get the basic plan of action that we need for our drawing. And that's it. And that's what's fun about oil, incidentally. When you're painting oils, you don't have to worry about too much of a lot of pencil drawing. You just want to get a couple good indications of where you have to kind of get your main points of interest with your drawing. So here, I'll notice some of these pilings are coming up here. So I'll put my one piling there. And then there's another piling here, like that. And then there's another one here. Then there's a boat too here. There's a boat with a okay, so we have the boat. And I think we have one more piling over here, like that. And this one goes up about like there. So this might be a little smaller. If you want to have something a little smaller and you made it too big, you could erase it a little bit off the canvas. Okay, and that's pretty much it. And there's maybe another one over here, another piling over here. Okay, now that we have our sketch done, let's start getting our paints out. So I think what we'll do is we'll just keep them just like this. Blue, red, yellow, and then up here we're going to do the burnt umber, and again these are Winsor Newton water mixable oil paints. Yellow ochre, and we're going to do white over here, like that. And then a little bit of that phthalo green like we talked about. We wanted to have a little bit of that here. Maybe we'll put it up here. Just a little bit of phthalo green up top there. And that's all we need right now. We have our colors out onto the palette, which is our Strathmore oil palette paper. Okay, and then the first thing I'm going to do is actually, I think I'll start mixing some of the darks for our distant horizon line. I'll have some blue. So that's some blue, French ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, burnt umber, a little bit of white. We'll see how that looks. Sometimes the light plays tricks on us, like the studio lights here, but I think that looks pretty good. So I'm going to start going in and I'm just going to get that in. We're not going to take forever to do this either. Let me tell you, with oil painting, have fun with it. Don't feel like you have to do anything perfect or anything like that. You're just mixing colors and having a good time. So you can kind of see I'm mixing the French ultramarine blue, the burnt umber. We added in some of the yellow ochre in between all those colors, and then maybe a touch of red too we can just add in there, here and there. You'll see that you have a really beautiful mixture of colors that just look wonderful. And you can just start getting that into your painting here for your distant shoreline, which we're trying to mix like this. We're trying to have this kind of a look. And I think we have it looking pretty good right now. And the next thing I want to do is I'll rinse off my brush with fresh clean water, which is over here. I have my collapsible water container over here like this. Rubber plastic, or rubber water container over here to the right. On my table, I have it set up so that it won't spill over. I have it like kind of chalked between a few different things on my art table. I do not want to spill over my water. I've spilled over water, coffee, all these different things on my studio tables, and it's not fun. I also have my coffee cup well over to the right here, my coffee mug, and it's delicious. Coffee's great. So let's continue on here. So we have the... Now I just added a touch of water to my paint like this. And we're just going to blue, some blue, cool blue, like this. Cool is the distant color. So you can imagine if you want to have distance in your painting and feel like there's like something far in the distance, distant city, buildings, trees, anything like that, you just add that cool blue to it and you will have really nice distant colors like we're doing here. And I'll rinse my brush off again. You can always have a tissue in your hand. You rinse off your brush, you dry off your water onto your brush like this, and then you can even add a little bit of yellow and so this is cadmium yellow and cadmium red like this, touch of blue to gray it down a little bit, and then you can have a little bit of warmer color too in the distance like this. Okay, so there we have it. We have some really good, kind of like medium tones, not extremely dark or light, kind of our medium tones there. And then what we'll do is next we are going to we'll do some of our darks here. We'll create some of our darks, really, really dark darks. Blue, French ultramarine blue, and brown, burnt umber. A little bit of red too. Add a little bit of red into that, a little bit of cadmium red into that. And we're going to create that tower. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit too thick. I don't know. I'll maybe switch to a smaller brush. I'll switch to this brush here, a round brush. And then here we're going to add a little thinner bluish color here. Like that. So we'll get some of that like that there, this here too. Some of that bluer, cooler color there for the rotunda here. Okay, so we're moving right along here. We're getting in that distant horizon line, and let's get in some of these other darks too that we kind of see here. There's some darks that are along here. Like that. And these might be just some of the darks that are closer to us. They're not quite far in the distance, so these are closer areas of interest that are like buildings and shoreline features that we're just going to create that are sort of here in the foreground. And they're darker, closer to us. And then the more distant colors, they're in the further distance. Okay, so I'll just sort of try to get some shadow. There's some light coming from this direction over here. We'll even break out another brush. So I'll rinse off my brush I was just using there, which was a little bit of a larger brush, like this. Now I'll use this one here, a little thinner, and I'll rinse off the brush just to get it moist, and then we'll just get a couple more details in there like this. Like that. And there's some more darks over here. Okay, I think we have some really good tones on the paper now. So we have sort of like our dark and middle tones right here, all through here on the painting. And again, I'm just starting out too with oil painting. I am not, I have not been painting for like years and years and years and years with oils. So I'm gonna, just bow in respect to those that are, have been painting a long time in oil paintings. You might be watching me. But I am studying it, and I'm kind of seeing that we are kind of having a good looking start to this painting where we're getting the darks in the painting the way we want it to here. You can kind of see that. We have the darks shaping up nicely, and that's the main portion of the painting that we wanted to kind of really get started with and make sure that we're getting our darks in first, and then we'll start getting our sky wash and our water in next with some of the other details. All right, so what I'll do is I'll take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll start working in our sky wash and our water wash. And then when we're finishing up, we'll just add in some of these darker darks in the foreground here, like the there's like a small boat here with a man rowing along the boat here, and we have the pilings that we're going to do, those really strong vertical lines in this painting. We'll do those next. But yeah, I see that we're really kind of, everything's coming together really nicely. And let's come back and we'll take a quick break for 5-10 minutes, and we'll start working again on the sky wash. That's the first thing we'll start doing, the sky wash, and then we'll get into the water section. All right, so we're getting back up and running here. Let's start working our sky wash. We mentioned that was going to be the next main feature we were going to start to work on. So we thought to ourselves, for the sky, we want to make it a little warmer. We did mention that these when I printed these out on my printer from my laptop, they came out a little bit cooler. I wanted it to be a little warmer, the colors. It's hard to see on here on the camera. But in any case, let's just kind of take that idea and let's get some of that white and blue. So we're going to take that white, titanium white, touch of a French ultramarine blue, and then we're just going to see what we do if we can add a little bit of that warmer, maybe even more of the yellow ochre and white. Cadmium yellow and white. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Cadmium yellow, thin it down a little bit, add a little water to it, some cadmium yellow, lots of white, and cadmium yellow with a touch of blue to tone it down a little bit. And that's what we're going to try to start using with our sky wash. And again, we want it to thin it down. And I'm using my brush to just, thin it down and thicken it up. Well, let's just start doing that. Let's get in some of that beautiful kind of like a yellowish sunrise color, the yellowy ochre color. Okay, and again, you can see here I'm having fun. I'm not stressing over the getting the wash on. We're just having a fun time. We're going to add other colors to this to make it more interesting. And then as we get close to this tower, we'll try to go around that tower so we don't disturb that too much. Like that. So we'll do that. We'll go over the tower again too. We'll make some adjustments to that with some darker washes. But this, I think, looks pretty good. It's kind of like a nice yellow ochre kind of sunrisey look to it, for a better lack of technical term. That's what's fun about oils too. You can really just scrub around, have a great time with it. And I'll go over this again. I'll go over that tower again. I'll make it better. I know you're thinking, wow, this looks awful yellow. But don't worry, we're going to add some blue to this and make it cooler. But for right now, it does look pretty good. I think it's better than going too much blue. This is a sunrise scene, so we want it to have that warm feel of the sun rising, and kind of, it's a warm feeling along this beautiful Venice scene. Sun's rising, the cool water. We're going to make some cool blue water down below, like that. But we will get to that. But as you can see, we're having a fun time here. I add a little bit of water to that. Just a little bit of water, see how that works. That's fine. You can make your first wash on your paper thinner with a little bit of water added to it. And then as you build up more layers, you can go heavier and thicker with your paint. That tends to be the kind of like the basic rule of it, or that works best, I think, is really you go on thinner at first and then you thicken up your layers as you go in oil painting. So, but I'm still learning as well as all of you are, so I'm not claiming to be an expert at oil painting by any measures. Okay, so there we go. All right, so we have it. It's looking good. I think just really having fun with oil paints is great. It's just fun just to do the experience of it. It's like practice, basically. It's always practice. We're trying to practice our skills, and I'm using a finer brush now to kind of get these finer lines here. That looks pretty good. And then we'll use our larger brush that we were just using. I'm going to empty out my water bucket. So if you can imagine, if your water bucket gets pretty muddy looking with lots of thick, kind of paint in there, just empty it out. Empty your water bucket out a lot when you're doing oil painting. And then you get your next batch of water and you just put a fresh bunch of water in there. I use a lot of times bottled water because it's handy. I'm drinking bottled water all the time, so I just have it on my art studio tables here and on my desk and all over. I keep hydrated all the time. It's good to keep plenty of hydration when you're, especially when it's warmer weather out. Keep drinking lots of liquids. And all right, so now you kind of see we have it looking pretty good. And then we can add some blue. Let's add some of that blue and even a touch of that phthalo green. We mentioned we want to add a little bit of that too. Let's see if we can add some of that phthalo green in there. Let's see how that goes. A little bit of phthalo green. And I'm thinking the phthalo green is kind of more in the like middle of the sky over here. With the blue. It's sort of like here. And it blends down into the golder colors at the bottom, but I think that looks pretty good. It's kind of fun to mix up the colors here as we go and we work. Like that. Maybe there's a little purple, a little bit of red and blue. So you can take some red and blue, cadmium red, French ultramarine blue, and you add a little bit of purple up there. You rinse off your brush. Maybe, you know, you have your tissue there. You dry off your brush a little bit. You just add in some purple up here. A little bit of that purple wash, just to give a little bit of a different color there. I'm hoping you're going to try this at home. I'm hoping you picked up some oil paints, some water mixable Winsor & Newton Artisan water mixable oil paints, and you will join along with me. And again, we're going to be going onto my new channel very, very soon. I'm going to have my new channel set up so that we'll do all of our oil painting over there, and then we can stick to the watercolors on this channel here. Because I realize some of you don't want to really try out painting in oils too much. I don't know why, but that's okay. I will not be offended. All right, so we have that all set up. Let's take a break. We cannot keep working incessantly without having a break. Otherwise, problems occur and we lose focus, and the next thing you know, we have disasters on our canvas. So let's take it easy, take a break. There's no rush on oil painting, of course, because it dries really slow. That's the one advantage you'll have with oil paints. You'll notice that if you're a watercolor artist and you are trying out oil paints, you'll notice oil paints, you have like forever to work with it. So you'll be like amazed. You'll be working with your oil paints and be like, oh my God, it's so much easier to paint in oils. You can mix all of your colors as you're going, and it's not like it's not going to be drying on you. It takes days and days to dry on your oil paints. So that's what's fun about oil painting. You can really have a great time mixing a lot of colors, and you'll have plenty of time to work, so you can take even longer breaks. And again, that's one of the advantages of water mixable oil paints is you have a ton of time to work. You literally have days. Whereas watercolors, you have minutes, basically. You'll start putting on a wash and watercolor for a few minutes, and then the next thing you know, it's drying up, and that's it. So, water mixable oil paints give you like literally hours and hours and hours of working time. So you saw how we did all these different washes. And I'm just infusing a few more colors in there. And that is good. Let us come back in just a few minutes, maybe a 5-10 minute break, or as long as you want, because this isn't going to dry any time too soon. And we'll get back and we'll start doing the water washes, okay? We'll get the water in next, and we're almost done. Then after the water is completed, we just have a few more details and we'll be all completed. Okay, let's get rolling again here. So we talked about getting the water in next. According to these photographs that we are working from, the water is quite a bit bluer, I think, than the sky. And again, we made our sky quite a bit warmer than this photograph, but these were printed on a printer, so we did mention that these look a little cooler. The actual photograph that I'm looking at sometimes, well, actually on my laptop or my computer, the sky is more warm like this, more golden color. But I think I do need to add a little bit of blue to my sky, so I will add a little more blue just to get a little more blue in there. And that's the fun about oils. You can really continue to work. You have plenty of time to work on your washes and kind of adjust the colors. So I did want to add some more blue here, up here too as well. But I am keeping a lot of the other colors we mixed, like a lot of the gold, the cadmium yellow. I am keeping a lot of that in there. I just wanted to, and we will leave that too at the base of the base of the painting, the actual where the buildings are here. You can always lift up a little bit with some tissue. I think it's looking pretty good now. And then I just kind of lightly lift up on the edges here with that blue. So again, I wanted to add some more blue here. I felt like I got a little bit too gold there, too much gold. But I think now it's looking a little better. A little more blue in the sky, of course. That looks good. Now we will work on some of the blue for the water. So I'm going to try to mix in some of this blue. Just want to try to slowly mix blue and then some of that white. I might have to add a little more white. So I add some more titanium white up here. Sometimes you'll have to squeeze out a little more paint onto your palette, onto your wax paper here. This is the, I like to mention what I'm using here. This is the Strathmore. The Strathmore wax paper, or palette paper as they call it. It's in the description box below. All my supplies are there. And then now we'll start putting in our water. You can start out even by just going across like this, like I'm doing now. I think we need a little more blue. Looks a little bit, touch of burnt umber in there to gray it down a little bit. Looks a little bit light. Not too bad. I think it needs a little bit of that burnt umber in there just to darken it up a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks better. And you can just come right across and kind of get that water in there, like so. And as a matter of fact, you can just kind of go over the whole water area. You can paint, we can paint those details in later. Even though we put those details in, as you can see, we put those details in the pilings. We put the pilings in, right? put those pilings right over the top again, because we can just reference the photograph we're working from. So you can reference these here to go over again and do the pilings, the dark pilings here. But let's just get that, let's make it easy for ourselves. Again, that's what I mentioned with oil painting. The same with watercolor. Try to make things easy for yourself. Like, don't, whatever your comfort level is. You know, maybe eventually, if you've been painting many, many years, you might paint around those pilings that are here, these dark pilings here. You might paint around them when you're painting a long time, like a couple of years or so. You might have the real, like, you feel like you can just paint around them and they're going to look good and you don't have to worry about it. But for right now, we'll get that blue water in there. And I think that blue water does look pretty good the way it is. And then you can even add some of that blue color that you just painted in the water down here. I would add some of that into the, over here, into the distance, the skyline here. So this is going to tie all the colors that we're using together. So you just take some of that blue we've been using here, even some of that into the sky. You might even want to make some nice sky clouds here. Maybe we'll make some clouds in the sky like so, drifting across. That can really look beautiful if you do some sky features, like some clouds just drifting across like this. That looks so beautiful in a painting if you just have those really relaxed looking drifting clouds just kind of like drifting across the sky. That looks really beautiful. Like that. So we've kind of tied in this blue that's in the water up into the sky and even into some of these areas here. You could add a couple little spots here and there, just little bits of like that, and that looks fine. That looks really good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry just for a few minutes. We'll let that kind of just sit for a few minutes, and then we'll come back, and then after we're done with this, and actually what I'll do is I'll use some of this, but we'll use a smaller brush. And again, try to use your brushes. Try to use your brushes so you have different thicknesses of brushes and sizes of brushes. Try to use, this is something that's really important as you're starting out, if you're just starting out in oil painting or even in watercolor, try to use brushes that are the sizes that are going to help you to paint the sections of the painting that are going to make it easier for you. So like, you know, if I'm doing a sky or this water down here, well then yeah, I'm going to use this large brush here. Like this size brush, or even larger. I have another one over here. I didn't use it today, but this one's even larger too. So you can use something like this. And all these brushes and all my art supplies are down below in my description box. You might have to click the word more to find more information, and you'll see all the links. And it puts you right over into Amazon, so you can shop around and for different brushes. You might not want to buy this particular brush because you don't like the way the handle looks. You might want a red handle or a blue handle or something. Whatever, you can figure out what type of art supplies you like and different things you want to purchase and whatever. But in any case, like I'm saying, the size though, that's really important. The size of the brush. I'm trying to get over a dark. Yeah, you can see how they're different sizes. So now when we do some details, we're going to want to use this brush here, which is much smaller and finer. We're going to want to use that for the details over here to kind of clean this up and make this look a little better once we're kind of finishing up with everything, you know. So we wouldn't want to try to do details with like this size brush here. So when you're doing fine details to your painting, when you're finishing up your painting now, your oil painting, use your smaller brushes. Use those smaller brushes for the fine details here and there that you're going to create. And then when you're doing your larger washes like the sky and the water, yeah, you're going to use your larger brush like this. But always remember, you need to kind of really use the brush that's going to help you most to get that job done that you need to when you're working on your watercolor or even your oil painting here like we're doing now. So I can't remember if we need a break now or not, but I think we do because I think we just finished this water section. So let's take a break. I'm going to have a little more coffee. And then what I'll do is, as I'm having a little more coffee, sipping my coffee here and relaxing, I will come back in like 5-10 minutes and we'll start working on the foreground, which is going to be the pilings here, these dark black pilings that are jetting up into the scene. And I think once we have those, then we'll do our final beautiful highlights of the white paint. So you see how those whites, those are the glistening, beautiful light, the bright sunlight hitting the water. That's going to make the painting look so good. You'll imagine when we're finishing up this painting and we start painting in these bright white, basically we're going to use white paint with a little bit of the warmer colors that we used over here. This is another good thing I want to mention is as you're painting, try to save your palette. Even if you want to start a new page on your watercolor, your oil painting palette paper, try to keep the same colors because you're going to go back to these and mix these into your white to get those light colors here. I'll explain that when we start doing the white highlights of the sunlight hitting the water and creating those beautiful, bright, exciting lights in your painting. And even some lights in the distant shoreline over here. You'll see some of those bright lights, even a couple up in the buildings here in the tower and the different areas of the distance. Maybe we'll see a couple little bright highlights, but you'll see how we do that next. Okay, so let's take a quick break. All right, so we're going to finish up now. We have everything we need now to complete the painting. I just wanted to add some more titanium white up here. We're going to need some highlight colors. I think that'll be enough to create our beautiful sunlight shimmering off the water and off a few of the locations in the distance. What else do we need? Yeah, sometimes you could take a little bit of water and a paper towel or a tissue if you need to, and just, you clean off a little bit of an area like this in your palette, on your waxed paper, as we call it. It's the Strathmore palette paper. So I just took off some of that blue because we're going to want to make it more of a golden color for the light. And all right, so we want to use our medium-sized brush, so we'll have some water mixed up here. Oh, maybe I empty my water bucket a lot, so I just emptied my water bucket for like the 5th or 6th time as we're painting, because it seems like oil painting, the water gets a lot murkier and muddier when you're working in oils than it would in watercolor. So that's just a kind of a side note for anyone that's kind of working in watercolor, and then you're going to start working on some oil paintings too. So I poured some fresh clean water into my water bucket now, emptied out the old water, and then what I'm going to do is start to create some of these highlights here. So I'll take some of that white, titanium white, and just start to thin it out a little bit. And then I'm going to take this color, which is that golden, beautiful golden, yellow ochre and some cadmium yellow, and I mix that in with the white so that white becomes like a beautiful warm, kind of like a warm light. So that white becomes a warm light as we mix it in here with the that little bit of yellow ochre and white. But if you see that you've mixed it and it's too golden color, no problem. You just take a little more white. Take a little more white and you squeeze out more white like that onto your palette. So usually you won't ever have a problem if you realize that if you are mixing something and it comes out a little bit too dark or too light, you can either add more paint or more dark, so whatever you need to do. But I think that's good right now. You can kind of see we have a good mixture there. Let's see how it looks on the painting. It's going to be very bright though as we go on to the painting. So yeah, that looks good. Okay, so now these shimmering bits of light. Our thicker paint now. Remember, this is thicker paint now, going over the thinner paint that we created. And I'm not putting it everywhere. If you can imagine, I'm just putting it here and there, like this. And then as I go out to the edges of the paintings over on the left and the right hand side, a little bit less, more of that bright white paint. We're going to want to have that bright white paint, the bright highlights, toward the middle here, as you can see. But we don't want to do too much. That's the kind of the key. If we do too many of these kind of highlights, then that could ruin the effect that we're going to have. And you can do a little, kind of like that feeling of the water. I think that's good. And then we want a few maybe in the, we can see here, there's a few more highlights in the distant hills over here. So let's do that. Let's add a couple in there. Not too many though over there, just a couple. It's kind of like beautiful light bouncing around in the or in the distant hills here, where the city is along the in Venice here. And then since we have this, pretty much let's do the pilings now. Since we have all this all set up, we're going to make our dark pilings, which is the blue and brown, burnt umber, and a little bit of cadmium red too, I would say. Kind of make it a nice good dark. And then what we'll do is, you can always sort of so we'll make a few here and there. I think that's good. We put our pilings in, and then we will put we'll put like a beautiful boat over here. With our darks again, we're just using those darks that we have. I'm using that thick blue and burnt umber, so burnt umber and French ultramarine blue. And then we're just going to make our And maybe we have a little bit of red here on the boat. Just a little bit of a highlight of a color. Sometimes it's good just to have a little bit of a highlight. Okay, so now a couple of little spots of light on top of these posts. Okay, we're just really kind of now finishing up the details. I wanted to maybe add a couple more details to this tower up here. We didn't finish our tower, so we wanted to go in and get some more darks here. And sort of get our tower kind of situated here a little bit better. I need a little more blue. I notice I need some more cool. I have plenty of burnt umber on there. I use burnt umber a lot, so I tend to always load up on tons of burnt umber when I'm painting. And now I'll have some more French ultramarine blue mixed in with that burnt umber. I can roll my brush around a little bit like that so I get a nice point on the brush. And we'll just get a little more. We'll get our tower kind of completed here. A little bit of white and blue, so I'll grab some of that white, mix it with that kind of that bluish gray. And we just wanted to get some of that in the tower too. That looks like it's a little bit too gray and needs some more blue. So just add some more blue to that. Yeah, much better. And then some more darks for some of the windows there. Okay, look how good that looks. All right, so we've got that completed. A little bit of that phthalo green. Let's get some phthalo green in here. Just a little bit there on the tower. That could add a little excitement to the tower. A little bit of the phthalo green. I think we are really kind of coming to a conclusion here. I think we have a fine painting here. We have basically covered all of the different methods and techniques you're going to need to create your oil painting. And right now, maybe I'm just going to touch up a few of these details on the skyline area here. So that's where I'm going to work on a little bit now, is the skyline. Some buildings in the distance here. Well, I hope you enjoyed this oil painting. We had so much fun here. We covered all the fundamentals of oil painting. Basically, you know, oil painting is really, again, if you're a watercolor artist, you're really going to enjoy it if you actually find that sometimes watercolor dries a little bit too fast, and it seems to be like it gets away from you a lot, and it does on every watercolor artist will tell you that, and it even happens to me all the time when I'm painting. I start putting on some washes in watercolor, and the next thing I know, they're drying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to hurry up and keep, going. And, like I feel like watercolor tends to really, you got to be on your toes all the time with watercolor. With oil painting, it's a little more mellow. You have a little more time to kind of like game plan your colors, your mixes, your washes, and your actual painting brush strokes and color mixing on your painting. So I guess what I'm saying is I really hope everyone's going to give it a try, at least for a little while, for maybe 6 months to a year, and maybe you will find that it's going to be fun and just a little bit of a different take on your painting techniques and methods that you use with watercolor, because watercolor, again, you're working really quick, and it really does require a lot of fast decisions and technique and methods when you're working in watercolor. And I know any of you that have been working in watercolor for a while, you know that. So I'm just going to mention that oil is a little more relaxed. You're going to feel a little more like comfortable sometimes when you're painting in oils because you have more time to think, game plan, mix your colors. It's not like everything is drying real fast and you have to like hurry up and get things done. So it is pretty fun actually in that respect. I've learned that as working with it for the last couple of years. So I'm hoping everyone is going to give it a try. At least you're the artist. You're going to figure out if you want to give it a shot and have some fun with it and give it a try. But in any case, thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching. And again, pretty soon, within the next couple months or so, I'm going to have an oil channel devoted to oil painting, where I'm going to keep working on oils on that channel. And then this channel, we're going to stick with watercolors. Like I said, 24/7. This channel is watercolors 24/7. So all the Extreme Beginners series videos and all of the other videos that we create here on this channel are going to stay the same. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe on the bottom of the video here on the right-hand side. If it's your first time here, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, what's going on here? We've got oils, we've got watercolors, we don't know what we're doing. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. If you just stopped here for the first time, have fun here. Click on the subscribe button on the right-hand side below. Do not miss a thing. We're having fun all the time. And as you go, you'll see that it is a great medium oils. And again, we are really full force here on this channel for watercolors. So if you're interested in watercolors, stick with us here. Again, we're always going to be doing our watercolor videos here constantly on my channel here on this video series here, which is all the watercolor videos. Okay. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.